Now entering the Bitcoin Podcast Network.
To the Bitcoin Podcast. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. To the Bitcoin Podcast. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. Bitcoin Podcast. Time to buy, never sell. These three guys ain't knowing well the world of cryptocurrency. Holding on is what you do. These three guys, they have the news. It's Bitcoin Podcast, baby. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. Bitcoin Podcast. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast. Bitcoin Podcast. Welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Podcast, episode number 244. I am your first host, Marcello.
I'm host number 2, D.
And I am host number 3, Corey. We have all three hosts back, and we will be playing The Chronic 2001 this episode in the background.
Yep.
Enjoy that, copyright people. I'm sure we'll
By
be
our
taken down from
powers
YouTube.
combined.
That's an oldie. That album's like 20 years
It
old.
doesn't get old,
Yeah.
though. It doesn't get old.
YouTube
It's
is
ahead-
going
it
to
was ahead of
take
its
that
time.
shit down immediately.
It's fine.
Is it,
Oh,
though?
speaking of YouTube, we hit a milestone. We're over 100 subscribers now.
Whoa!
Yeah. For like the 3 years we gave zero attention to YouTube, and finally we're like, hey, we should probably start publishing on YouTube too. You know that thing that's ridiculously massive?
Yeah.
It's not easy, but we're making our way up the subscriber number. Is this the part where we have to pimp ourselves out? Like, please hit subscribe. Please go to the website. Please.
Yeah,
guys
here's the
do
thing.
it.
This isn't on the talking points in which you pulled out earlier this week. But how do y'all feel about sponsors in general? Where should they go? Like, where should they go in a podcast?
At the top.
This should go at the top to allow the listeners the opportunity to skip the shit out of them.
So you don't like mid show advertisements? Or
I
even,
do.
like,
I
the
don't.
end?
I don't agree with Rogan. Rogan said he doesn't like because it breaks up the flow, but I don't mind it.
See, I agree with that. That's what I agree with. Like, if you need to do it for a higher price, then it's worth a higher price. But I prefer to not break up content.
As someone I would like to do mid-roll sponsorships because they're more likely to be listened to. I don't really care. When an advertisement comes on, I typically tune all the way out anyway. So I'm not.
Well, it depends. Like if I'm listening to Bill Burr, I listen to him because he makes them entertaining and funny. It's all how you approach it. You know, if you're just taking a paycheck and you don't give a shit about the product, that's going to resonate with your audience and resonate in your tone and your interest level.
Very true. Well, we don't have any sponsors. So that was just our-
Go to the donate page and just give us money because we don't have any sponsors.
Yeah, we don't have any sponsors. We should get some soon, but who
Yeah, we
knows?
got a few in the pipeline. We'll work it out.
So, do you guys hear that echo?
No.
Interesting. So Taylor said something interesting this week. Caught my eye.
For my crypto,
Yeah, Taylor from My Crypto.
what'd you say?
Decentralization is not a value proposition. And I said, yeah, I agree with that. But then Crypto Twitter said, hey, Taylor, fuck you. Everybody wants decentralization. They just don't know it yet. And I think Crypto Twitter is wrong.
Crypto Titter?
Crypto Twitter.
There's a missed opportunity there somewhere.
I think Crypto Titter, that's what I'm going to start calling it when I disagree with it. Crypto Titter is wrong. And I think Taylor is right. So then my next question naturally is, what is the value proposition? Or is it the fact that so many different people have so many different interests and can still utilize crypto is what makes it the value proposition?
I think the word decentralization is just too broad. Like, decentralization of what?
As a whole, if you decentralize something, in essence, it's supposed to become a trustless operation.
What is it?
It's supposed to have it's just a blanket statement. It's
Yeah, I
supposed to have
know.
more
It's a shitty blanket statement. It doesn't mean anything. Like the purpose of decentralization should be in respect to something. Is that trust? Like instead of like you're decentralizing the trust that you have to have on people to a bunch of different people that are playing a game, is it decentralization of value? Is it decentralization of power? Like who actually has the power to vote on things? Like it makes a difference on what you're decentralizing and for what purpose. Like sometimes centralized entities are good, they're efficient, but like just saying decentralize all the things for the purpose of decentralization is stupid.
Yeah, you don't lead with decentralization. That's not your lead off batter. You're not going to get on base. Like if marketing were a baseball game, you're not getting on base swinging with decentralization first. That's a strikeout right there. Might as well put decentralization.
I think it's worked for so long because people never really thought about that concept ever. Like before Bitcoin got big, like you didn't hear a lot of like the word, like all the internet is centralized and all these centralized services and like this vilification of centralization. Yet we understand where it came from and why it exists and like why it's a problem now. But I think before Bitcoin, you didn't hear much about that. You weren't worried about these conglomerate companies that were taking control of the internet back in 2005, 2009.
You're absolutely right. Do people even care though? I mean, people like the conglomerates. Like, I could go to 4 different mom and pop shops in one Saturday, or I could just go to Target and get everything I need. That's a mighty fight right there. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know. I don't agree with Taylor.
What? Why?
That's the
Expound.
hook. That's the hook. Decentralization is the hook. Transparency is the hook. Security, it's the hook. Scalability, that's the hook.
Scalability is not a hook.
You're talking about the words we use to get people to like buy into this stuff.
Yeah, scalability is not a hook.
Right, so
why would that be?
Yeah, it does. It brings costs down. It processing requirements goes more efficiently. You can leverage it. These are all everything that was wrong with traditional banking systems. These are the things. These are the hooks.
Traditional banking systems scale like a motherfucker.
I'll tell you this much. Like security is a hook for me. Like the fact that we're building systems based purely on cryptography and using digital signatures the way they should be used so that everyone has access to them and it means something in terms of value is cool. That's sweet.
Yeah, we can get guarantees now that nobody's creating something fake or spending something they don't have. It's transparent.
All right, so why do you sell that to like, Bob who's got a bank account at Bank of America and doesn't give a shit?
Buzzword. Just hit him with the buzzwords.
Buzzword, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Like,
Sorry, Bobs who are out there who are listening.
Yeah. Sorry, Bobs. But you're a GPP and you know it anyways, Bob. So we don't have to say anything. Look, all I'm saying is that perhaps some of these things that we've tried to turn into buzzwords to make this stuff sound cool is not the wise way to go about adoption.
Why not?
Because no one cares about decentralization. Remotely. Not even a little bit.
But maybe they do. They just don't know it yet.
With that, yeah, they just
like that's what I was just saying earlier. Like, I mean, a lot of people never really even heard or thought about the word or how it refers to money and power. And then this thing, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever you introduce someone into, introduces that concept to them. They're like, oh shit, that is better, and then they get excited for like the more broader cause.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, if you decentralize a bank, right, that implies that everybody gets a bank. I'm taking it to the financial aspect of this stuff.
That's like that's like the extreme example. Like that's like where I think people go too far when they're saying like everything should be fully decentralized, because it's not. It's not a binary thing. It's not decentralized or centralized. There's a whole plethora of options in between there. And depending on whatever you're doing, depends on how you structure it to fit.
So you call it semi-centralized?
I don't know. Like that's kind of that. I talked about this in that talk I did a couple years ago at the Bitcoin Super Conference. It's like these options you have, instead of only being centralized like the internet currently exists, and allowing options for distributing trust or power across multiple people if you need it, is a new thing. And so you can build whatever system you need based on whatever the hell you're doing that caters to how the humans are interacting, as opposed to just trying to pigeonhole it into a single thing.
It's actually going to change how people interact with one another.
I think so.
That theory.
I get that.
If 99% of the time I know things are going to happen a certain way and trust isn't needed, will that make me a distrustful person towards human interaction, or will I have less reason to be distrusting since there's usually no reason to be? So perhaps I become naive and over-trusting. But I think it's worth mentioning that these trustless interactions are likely going to affect how people approach trust-based interactions moving forward. D, I think we saw a tweet that some guy doesn't like Bitcoin anymore because Jimmy Song, he doesn't like him anymore. We put way too much stock in these Twitter heads, and
Yeah, that's a dumb thing to say. Like to get rid of something because you don't like somebody.
yeah, and I like Taylor. She's an acquaintance of mine, but she has become one of those figures. She has a verified account with 20,000 followers, and a lot of people put stock into what she says. She's one of those people, for good or bad.
Yeah, that's true.
She
I
is
even
a
said
person
to
of
that guy,
influence. She's a person of influence. But so
Yes.
are we.
don't say the word. Don't say the words.
What's wrong with the words?
I hate that word.
Influence?
Can't stand influencer.
Influencer.
Yeah, I hate it. I can't stand that word.
What's wrong with
I
that?
don't know why.
It's the appropriate word.
I feel like there's other words
Like what?
in it.
Persuasionist?
I don't know. Did you say persuasionist?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Community leader or something.
Thought leader? You want a thought leader? Because that's way more millennial.
Oh, jeez. Do I want a thought leader? What the hell is a thought leader? I think, and people also think like me, and we just sit around in a circle and think together. I don't even. Some of these words, they just get at me. But
It's a think tank.
I even said to that guy, it's really poor form to not invest in something based on a persona on the internet. So, yeah.
But those people wouldn't be who they are if they didn't have a legion of people that hung on their words and got.
The question is
influenced.
how much they change themselves to placate to the audience that they have. To like
Yeah, that's
make
what
it
they know.
grow
Yeah,
or
that's
keep
interesting.
it. That's the question. That's like the kind of metric of human fortitude for me, is how much someone is willing to change themselves in order to placate to an audience that they like having.
I bet you it happens a lot.
Oh, I
I'm
guarantee
willing
it
to
happens a
bet-
lot.
I'm willing to bet it's the norm. It's no different than a political system, like a congressman just saying what he knows he has to say so people continue to like him. It's the
Yeah, but like
exact
my
thing.
personal feeling is that Taylor doesn't do that. Jimmy Song does.
Yimi song.
That's my personal feeling. I have nothing to back that up other than personal.
Yeah. So while we're on this topic of Twitter, I guess I'm cranky today. I guess I'm grumpy because I too am not a fan of Sir Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, and Cash App. I think
Yeah. It's Cash App.
claiming. I think it's a very empty claim that he is such a crypto head or a Bitcoin enthusiast. Because-
I'd say he's a Bitcoin enthusiast.
Okay, that's cute. You have one of the not one of Twitter might arguably be I'm gonna say one of the most popular social media platforms on the planet. From overnight it went from what the hell is Twitter to you get on ABC News and you see an anchor's Twitter.
That is CNN is retweeting or reading tweets.
reading tweets. That happened almost overnight. I was like, whoa, news is just going to read tweets now? I guess that's the world we live in. If he was that enthusiastic about this, he would be implementing and testing and doing all sorts of things with this programmable money.
See,
but he's got an
I don't know if he
army of
understands
debt.
it that well. Is that he built a Cash App. Like, the Cash App accepts Bitcoin. That's probably now one of the largest ways to buy and sell Bitcoin.
Beautiful. Why not have a
I'm
little
not saying
Cash
it's
App
the
button?
appropriate thing to do, but like, from his perspective, he probably feels like he's doing the right thing if he doesn't know everything. He didn't say the word Ethereum once. And I've met a lot of people who are into Bitcoin who don't even know Ethereum exists. And so that means they've been
that's very true.
incredibly limited in their exposure to what this space is actually doing.
I'm
Yeah.
saying that if you're in a position to be more than a cheerleader, then perhaps you should take that position.
But it's not his full-time job, though.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
He's just
but
doing
he
something because he
pays
likes it.
He
Pay
knows as
millions
much
of
about
dollars
Bitcoin
to
as
people who have
he knows as much
full-time
about
jobs.
Bitcoin as Elon Musk, and Elon Musk isn't going to go full on into Lightning nodes and all that. He's just going to
Yeah, but
be
Elon.
impressive.
Go ahead.
I mean, you're expecting too much from these people. He's not Goon Sarir. He's a rich guy
He
who
owns Twitter.
created all
Like,
these.
He's got
Yeah, he
to
owns
Twitter.
Twitter.
Twitter. He's busy.
There's only so much knowledge that you can acquire on many numerous subjects.
It's like the
He's not gonna
equivalent.
drill
Like,
down.
let's like take us as a microcosm, right? Like, if there's something we like doing that was completely off the topic of running this podcast / being in the blockchain space, and like something you liked, and then you don't go balls into that thing and then incorporate it in everything you do, we're gonna criticize you for it.
You guys are licking this man's taint right now.
No.
And I hope that
It's just-
he
it's like
I hope
it's-
he hears me say that.
You made a
Look,
difference, and it's not that big of a difference. It's a way for
man-
people to buy and sell Bitcoin, but it's not enough.
Okay, so he makes Cash App. Cash App, you can buy and sell Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin. Is it super duper tough to have a Cash App button on Twitter? Is it super duper tough to have a little button next to your tweet that says, "Oh, I want to tip that person"? Is it super duper tough to launch a Lightning node? For
If
people
you-
that he pays, hold on, let me keep going. For people that he pays,
On a roll.
he's got an army of devs. He's got
I got
an
an
army.
answer for that. That's pretty obvious.
Just let me go until you interrupt it. He's got an army of devs. He's got an army of engineers. It should take 2 weeks to put a Cash App button on Twitter.
It's not that he can't do it. Why would you take the most mainstream social media platform and then implement something that only 2% of the world gets?
Because there's no telling where that 2% gets you.
Yeah, it's
All-
great for
all the-
adoption, but it's terrible for a business model.
Okay, all of a
No
sudden
one
you've
can
got Kanye sending tips to fucking the game. I don't fucking know.
I'd say
what
that
they do.
it could, if he did something like that, make a drastic move and change towards people actually using Bitcoin or whatever he actually puts into Twitter. But for Twitter, it's a gamble. Now,
Okay,
he would
that's
have,
a
that means
pointless
he has
claim.
to be incredibly into this, where he thinks it's like the future of the world, and he wants to like compromise his current business plan / like people who use Twitter to push it on them.
Would you guys stop jockeying this man's nuts with your tongues?
I just think it's
How
like
in
if
the
you run a
world?
business.
How in the world is he compromising Twitter by putting a little button on that says, "Hey, you want to tip that guy for his tweet?"
I think it's a great
Putting a
idea.
little Cash App
but like,
button.
it's not my business.
You only
People
want to
don't-
implement things that you know are people are going to use and implement.
How much has Twitter changed? Like, how long did it take him to go from 140 to 280 characters?
Yeah, like 7 years.
That's like if they're that worried about influencing the reason and communication flow of Twitter, adding money into it is gonna. I think that's a pretty big decision relative to like keeping conversations the same. And when you add money into anything, the nature of how people communicate changes. Would you argue with that?
I don't disagree with anything you guys just said. I just think that he's in a position to be a little more than a cheerleader, and if anything, he could be doing a little something to show, like, oh, I don't just own it. You know what that guy say for like Just for Men, or that hair shit in the 90s when he's like, I don't just own it, I also use it.
I'm not just the CEO. I'm also a customer.
Yeah, I'm not just the CEO. I'm also a customer. Was that Grey Poupon or was that Hanes?
Oh, that was Men's Hair Club. Hair Club.
Yeah, Men's Hair Club for Men. There we go. Yeah.
Well, tweet that guy and tell him to ask him when he goes on his podcast.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey said hello to some other Bitcoin podcast. So let's bring him on here, and he can interact with the fans that aren't calling us right now.
Yeah. Well, we record at some weird ass time. 7:37 Eastern time.
When there's a normal
at 7 p.m. Eastern time. On a Saturday.
What's a good time?
I would say more people are available in the evening than in the middle of a Saturday.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know. Maybe we should do some like A/B testing and figure out when people are actually in the Slack.
Or we could just ask, hey, if you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to join, send us a message somehow on the Slack, on Twitter, on anything, and tell us what time you would like to join in.
Yeah.
That's good. Or you can do surveys in Slack.
Yep.
Slack's the best way to get a hold of us.
Slack.
Not to be such a negative Nancy, it is really cool that someone as visible as Jack Dorsey is like such a proponent of Bitcoin. I think it is kind of cool.
I think proponent is the wrong word relative to the actual proponents of these things. It's like, yeah, someone told them about it, and they're like, that sounds cool. I like that idea. It aligns with other things I do. And that's the extent of it. They just happen to have a bunch of influence elsewhere, so they have the potential to on-ramp a bunch of people because a fuckload of people listen to them. Or they own some platform that influences the world. But like, he's not a proponent of Bitcoin. He just likes Bitcoin, and they brought it into the Cash App because it made sense. I think we give them too much, like, of what we want them to be, and they don't deserve it. It's just the fucking regular people. It's just we know that what could happen if they happen to, like, you know, join the side and fight for the cause type of bullshit, right?
Why do I feel like eventually we're gonna have a choice to live above ground or underground? In underground, we eat Taco Bell. Oh no, wait, above ground. Basically, the plot of Demolition Man is exactly where we're headed.
Oh yeah, we're slowly working to Demolition Man.
You already kind of look like Kevin O'Leary, Corey. So, and
I don't want to look like Kevin O'Leary.
Well, I mean, you're both Irish looking, so
thanks.
If your face were a bit more leathery and shiny, you could be the leader of the underground, Corey, in like a heartbeat. Me, I'm relegated to fight Sylvester Stallone because of the blackness. But you could.
What's Cello doing?
Cello? I don't know. Cello, would you be
Seashells
Rob
guy?
Schneider?
Rob Schneider?
Seashells?
What?
Give us a. You don't know what to do with the 3 seashells? Cello, your wife is behind you, looking like she wants to karate chop you.
I'm looking.
All right, y'all. I'll be right back.
I gotta go.
And life hits the Bitcoin podcast. So, Corey, tell us a little bit about Brussels. Give us a story, and then I want to talk about the other point of interest.
So, I was recently at Brussels for a secure messaging workshop with the Web3 Foundation status and a bunch of other Validity Labs and Parity and people like that, for us to come up with a new way to send messages over the internet, or a network that allows you to send messages in the most secure way possible that would basically have a failure mode of the security level of Tor.
What does that mean? You said that earlier, and I was like, failure mode.
What does that mean? It means like when like things don't go, like in the worst case scenario, in terms of the potential security risk of someone seeing your message that shouldn't see it. It's the same as Tor, which is what the dark web lives on, right? That's the
onion routing.
Onion routing, yes. So like the goal is to just build a new security network.
Period.
period. And as you can imagine, that's going to take a long time. So nothing's coming up for next year.
That's going to take a very long time.
Well, I don't know. It's so there's a lot of work being done in various ways of routing. It's basically like, to get the gist of it, I think the majority of it is routing messages. The proper way to route messages, and then how to then build that message. That's basically the extent of secure messaging. Use cryptography to build messages in a really cool way, and then figure out how to route them to other people.
So when you say build messages in a cool way, if I write a message, it's some text, right? Am I like taking that apart and turning it into cryptographic puzzle pieces? And then
think about the way the internet works now. It's built on a packet. Basically, you send packets across the internet, little digital pieces of information that are wrapped in various layers, and each of these layers has very specific instructions on what to do with that packet. So, like, when you send a message that says, "Hello world" to someone across the internet, like the majority of the information associated with sending that is around sending it and not the actual information. So like you have to come up with interesting ways of making communication protocols or like those instructions so that machines know how to route data across the internet. Blockchain is a different way to do that. And that's informed us on how to like maybe build better, more secure systems. Because once you figure out how to get it there, how do you guarantee people in the middle can't look at the information, like the payload is what it's called, and then know exactly what it is if it's secret? Then you use cryptography and use digital signatures and encryption to make that payload look like garbage. So the only other person on the other side could take that payload, decrypt it, and understand that it's from a certain person.
They're the only ones with the cipher.
Yeah, and then it gets more complicated than that. That's the general way. It's like, how do you route something, and then how do you build a package that it's going to the right place, and that they have guarantees on where it came from. And for like something like Status, we want to build chat rooms and things like that based on the same type of like security primitives, so that whenever you're talking to someone, you know that only they're listening, and you have guarantees around that.
So the idea of Status now is like, if you're on the Ethereum network and you want to chat privately, you're using the Status protocol.
But that's not the limit, right? The limit is just if you would like to use incredibly secure chat, and you don't even know what the blockchain is.
About Status so much, isn't that like a conflict?
No, I work for them.
Okay,
it's my podcast. Fuck, I want.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
like it's
all transparency, guys. Corey works for Status.
I'm a security engineer at Status, so if you didn't know that, I'm really working there. But like our goal, and is much broader than that, and that it's build a secure messenger for anyone who would like to have very strong guarantees on knowing who they're talking to, and that only those people can see the messages, as well as like an ease of use. And then and then latch onto that, the ability to use blockchain infrastructure, we use Ethereum, to add value to those communications. It's like you can build micro communities and then also have money involved in those micro communities, and they naturally in like the conversation, right? It's like so you said something in a chat and I was like, oh cool, here's so and so, here's so and so money, or token or DApp or whatever. It's just built in natively. So I think that'd be cool, right? If you can just say, hey, I'm gonna build a community and it already has a money associated with it. And there's nobody anybody can stop me from doing that.
Interesting.
Nobody joined in yet?
Nope.
Nobody joined in tonight. We need to pick a time that's around the weekend that is advantageous for everybody to want to pop in.
I don't think that exists, man, because like it's the fucking weekend. Like,
yeah, but
we used to go Saturday morning. No one wants to get up in the middle of Saturday, in the morning of Saturday, to talk on a podcast. We do a Saturday night. Well, Saturday night, people are doing stuff.
We're gonna find the sweet spot for you guys. How do people call? It's not like you could. It's not like it's easy to call into a radio show on the. I guess
They
is
do
if
that
you're stuck
shit
in
on the
traffic.
way home from work.
Yeah, if you're stuck in traffic, it's like I got nothing better to do. I might as well call the radio and say, "Hey, I liked when you guys played that song. Do it again." So, anyways,
If you don't have Spotify or something.
people still listen to the radio. But radio shows are actually getting very entertaining again. Like Charlemagne the God. That show is hilarious.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I can't stand Sway anymore. Hey, it's your boy Sway. Welcome to Sway's show. We're gonna not really talk about hip hop, and have a bunch of garbage rappers on here. Sway. Uh-oh. What's going on over there, Joe?
When a 4-year-old eats dinner, it doesn't always go straight from A to B.
Oh, okay.
A lot of detours in that.
Yeah. So one last thing I wanted to talk about, which is very exciting but sad at the same time for me. It's like bittersweet. It's bittersweet symphony. That's a good song. Yep. That was the old huh? What's up? That was the Cruel Intentions soundtrack. If you guys are unfamiliar with Cruel
There's also a
Intentions.
Kanye West song with John Mayer.
Yep. Bittersweet. Okay, anyways, so the SEC commissioner says a Bitcoin ETF is inevitable. He said inevitable, but then he came out 2 days later and was like, eventually. Not like tomorrow, guys.
Well, I mean, inevitable and eventually are the same thing.
Yes, very true. But eventually is like, well, I guess they're still very vague. It's one vague comment.
It's going to
followed by
happen.
Another.
It's clearly going to happen in the future. That's basically the gist of those two statements.
Call me now for your free. Yeah, it's gonna happen. And people are tying this to the price hike. There was a bit of a price hike. People got all jolly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big was it?
Cello,
I didn't see anything.
Litecoin went up about 25%.
Ethereum went up 14%.
They went up 14%.
This
Which,
is not
by
a
the way,
hike. This
Corey,
is not a hike, guys.
yeah, it is,
I mean,
Corey.
This is not a fucking hike. Like, this is you don't go down 95% and then bump back 10% of that and be like, "Hooray, we're back!"
I'm not,
We're not
arguing
back,
with you.
But
What I'm
it's nice
saying,
to
Like,
green,
we need
not red.
hundreds percent to get back to where we were.
we need lots of
Hundreds of
percent.
percent.
So
Hundreds
no
and hundreds
excitement
of
from
percent.
you, unless we're at 20,000 Bitcoin.
Something almost needs the 10x before we're back.
Yes. But the introduction of stable coins are going to make that process a lot longer.
Yeah,
A lot
I agree
longer.
with that.
And that $20,000 Bitcoin ain't happening for a while. It ain't gonna happen for like 2021, 2022. It's not gonna happen for a while.
Why you think because of like stabilizing factors like stable coins
Yep.
will like prolong it, and so we're not going to have this crazy volatile network? You think it'll be natural, like slow or reasonable growth?
Yes, I think who now has Bitcoin by the balls is not enthusiasts. It's not core believers like the Bears. It is Wall Street. It is the incumbent financials, and they like to control gains and losses. So,
Well, good luck with adoption.
Well, how about this? Is it still available to people who currently never had banking infrastructure? Is it still as inclusive as it used to be?
I think people only use stable cryptos because they don't have artificial inflation controlled by centralized corrupt governments.
People use stable cryptos because they want to trade and they want to preserve their value at its
Escrow.
highest amount. There you go.
But isn't like
Stable
DAI
currencies
is
are for use. Things
Yeah.
things that will grow in value or for investing in.
Yeah. So that's that. You
DAI is
use
actually
it-
backed by value though. It's not just debt like the USD.
Oh yeah, Dai's a different story. Dai's cute. I love Dai actually.
It is
I think I'm about to buy some soon. But
Why would you buy it? It's just a stable coin. Don't. What,
or like
what's
to
the
just
point?
have it.
No, right, I guess, but it's like
cute.
sure.
I want to support the
That's
community.
what I just said.
Cute,
Like
Corey, I wanna have it.
stable coins are for using. You don't want to do it unless they're actively being used. In the same way
Yeah,
that
I'm
like most commodities are for using. You just think that by holding them, they'll be increased in value. So you're investing at that time. That's your use. You're putting value somewhere because you think it will grow. You put value in stable coins because you think everything else is going to fall, or you want to hold the value of whatever you're doing with someone else, like escrow, right? So like if I buy something online and we're going to go through some type of like process where we have to go back and forth before things actually get released, I want the value that I put in to be the same that I take out whenever we come to concluding our business. Escrow.
Yeah.
You don't want that value to change. So you want something that's stable. Like I don't want to like go into business and lock a Bitcoin away, and then a week later when we conclude our business, that Bitcoin's worth 40% more.
That would be shitty.
Yeah. The soundtrack in the background is just wonderful right now.
We need a bull run in the next 2 years. That's all I'll say.
What if we don't get it, Cello?
Might be a wrap.
If we don't get it, Cello's going to be doing Bedroom Beethoven's exclusively.
Bedroom Beethoven's yeah, he's going to say, fuck Bitcoin. I'm tired of this shit.
I see the shift already. You already have influencers on Twitter saying that the thing that made Bitcoin hot 3 years ago, that's not the reason why it should be hot. Then you have the influx of fair weather people. You have maximalists and tribalism. Dude, it's just not good, man. The bear markets are so terrible for the community.
Well, there have been signs of not a bear market, or at least like a turning around of a market.
I hope it turns.
Look at us. Just like us is like a small window in this whole thing. Think about all of the people who've been coming into our inbox lately that we saw nothing of over the past few months.
It's definitely coming back. Interest.
Right? People want to sell announcements. People want to come on the show. People want to try and pitch their game. People are asking us to sign up for shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what bear markets do. They shake the market. They allow for the opportunity for people to hop in that weren't in it before. That's just what they do. The people that really believe, they just bought more of the thing that they liked when it was at the bottom. The new people come in. Here's the thing. Not last December, the December before last, there was a person that looked at the price of Bitcoin and said $20,000 is way too much. That same person is looking at the price of Bitcoin and saying 3,600 don't seem too bad. It was 20,000. And there's always going to be a person like that. There's always going to be shit tons of people like that every single time this happens.
But what people don't realize is they can buy 0.1 Bitcoin. You don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin.
We've been screaming that for like 6 years. They still don't give a damn. Like we've been saying that. We've been saying for 6 years. If you got $1, you got $1 worth of Bitcoin. How does that work?
Do you remember when we first started the show? How much we pushed lawnmower?
Yeah,
because it was like the easy way to put a small amount of money regularly into Bitcoin. It was like the best way to, in our opinion, that was the best way to invest. Still is probably.
Yeah,
it was just throw change into that shit.
Back then, you bought a Snickers bar and you would have like 0.2 Bitcoin. Left over in your lawnmower.
Yeah. Not anymore, baby. Not anymore. So, there's always going to be swaths of people like that. Yeah, bear markets suck. This has been a relatively tough one because I think last time, Cello, you weren't as bought into crypto, like the Mt. Goxing.
Oh yeah, I'm good now. My sentiments from the bear market don't come from like I want a Lambo. It comes from I want this community to thrive and continue. And I just don't think
community that like what's the community like? What are they behind? What are they for?
What percentage do we need to hit before mass adoption? Do we need to be at like 8%, 9%? I think we're like at 1.5 to 2%. I would like to get it to 8 to 10%.
Why are people using Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Why do they care? Why do they want to use Ethereum? Why in my opinion, the point is not to like have people join the cause of cryptocurrency. It's so that people can do something they can't do beforehand. Like that shit I was saying earlier, right? Like if you can enable micro communities to have like say like if you could have subreddits, but you basically lived off of contributing to a subreddit. and the economy associated with that subreddit fed your family because of some hobby you have, and you built this community around people who do the same shit, and they have like a economy, and that then fed your family. That'd be fucking cool. You can't do that nowadays. Blockchain has a possibility of doing something like that, but it's not. They're not doing that shit. They're not feeding their family because they love blockchain. It's just enabled something that they couldn't do beforehand.
I love
That's
the idea that I can do anything if I have that associated crypto. I can do a ride sharing if I have the ride sharing coin. I can go rent a condo with the condo coin. I can go do this. And just imagine if that ecosystem grows and I can do everything with all the cryptos and my little Ledger Nano, and I can live my life without a bank, and I have the freedom to do all these different things. That was the big vision of the white paper.
I think that's still a good way to picture it.
I know it's
Which white paper though? Like not the Bitcoin white paper.
Just like that's why I disagree with Taylor, because I just think decentralization is the value prop. That's the whole reason why we buy in. If you're not buying in to win Lambo, then you're buying in for like the core value that was written out, like the Declaration of Bitcoin.
See, I think it's a different way to represent the same problem, and that is like in the use case of public money, decentralization of control over that money is necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, quote unquote, decentralization is good for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is trying to be money. And if you want to be money, you don't want to have to rely on someone else to check shit. And that's where like the decentralization comes in. But in other circumstances, that's not true. You need decentralization and something else, some other power. So like if voting ever becomes a thing, who gives a shit about money? It's decentralization of who has the vote, or a proper distribution of who has the vote and their weight.
But what if who has the vote has the money? Then you need to give a shit.
That's right now. That's how power is influenced.
Yeah,
it doesn't
that's
have to be
right
that
now.
way in the future for
always.
various things. But like in the case for like, that's why I said micro communities, because you're not going to have this take over on like a country scale in the near future. What's probably going to end up happening is that you're going to enable people to live lives the way they want to, doing things they want to do, and get paid to do it, which is this like kind of micro community thing that no one's really paying attention to, but enables people to live their lives in a way they want to do it. That type of thing grows slowly and slowly until it becomes like basically how people live, because you can.
We got pretty far from what the ETF may or may not mean, but I don't know. The decentralization being the value proposition may still be for some people. Crypto heads, yes. But for anybody outside of crypto, they give no fucks.
I don't think you should be able to use the word decentralization unless you're referring to something particular.
Okay.
It's a stupid word to say by itself.
You should tweet that right now. Decentralizing what? Question,
All the
exclamation
things.
point.
All the things.
I will tweet that.
Everything can benefit from a trustless
Yeah.
system.
You're going to want to use a picture too, people. People look at tweets more when there's a picture on it.
And also, like, I don't want the bear market, because I don't want people to be like, oh, Bitcoin's dead. Told you, LOL. If Bitcoin goes to $50,000, you're not going to have that person who can buy a whole Bitcoin. So that narrative's gone. And then the naysayers are gone too, because Bitcoin has thrived. So you're not going to get rich anymore, and you get rid of all the noise. And then that's when you can really concentrate on building. You don't build in a bear market because nobody gives a shit. You build when the hype is there. I just think we have the narrative backwards, and I don't think we can survive if we have these elongated bear markets, because then the naysayers are going to think they're right, and then the people who do believe in it, they're not going to have the patience to stay in.
Hey, there's so many naysayers that said wrestling was stupid and wrestling became a thing. That was my counter argument.
Yeah, I still think wrestling's stupid, but it's like really popular.
Yes,
So.
it's really popular.
Yeah, brother.
You
I
know
think-
who
I
Hulk
think-
Hogan is. You know who he is. Hey, who's The Rock?
Yeah.
I think football is super boring. The Super Bowl proved that shit, but it's still super popular. So.
We're gonna come through, baby, and decentralize all the things, baby. Oh yeah. If you say it like that, dude, we should have Macho Man be the mascot
Randy Savage?
of all of crypto. But I think he's dead.
He's
But
dead. So.
still, like,
I'm sure there's
Bonesaw
impersonators everywhere. You can find an
ready.
impersonator.
Bonesaw's ready.
I love doing that voice. That guy's interviews are amazing.
I like how Cello
were
put "We're live" in the Slack, and someone gave a smiley face with shades.
And then did not join.
Oh man, she never types in there. God, our Karen in San Francisco, our Slack is so weird because there's people that monitor it, but they never type
There's
anything.
611 people in our Slack, and I'd say 40 people contribute.
But
Wow,
I bet you like
Corey,
I bet you
that
like
is really
400
impressive.
watch. That's the creepy thing.
Corey, that is actually really impressive. 45 people a day is our current average that are actively passing messages back and forth.
Oh, really? You looking at the
Yeah.
stats?
Well, I mean,
'Cause
yes,
I
do.
pulled that off the top of my head.
We have some power
so-
users though.
Yeah, we
Like,
do.
I'll wake up in the morning and the same 4 people have just dove into 9 conversations.
Dude,
we
let's shout out the power users
extra
right now.
deep,
Ray
extra
Redacted,
deep to the night.
Alan,
Wilk.
power user. Wilk, super power user. Thank you, Wilk.
Andy,
power
yeah.
user.
Ken,
Ken, not Bozak, but new Ken.
yeah. New Ken, JT.
JT, Miller. We got some power users in there.
JT said at 6:33 last night, been thinking a decent bit about welfare and government programs recently. And then a lot of other conversation happened after that.
So that's what started our Friday evening.
And then you go into random. Let's see here. Let's find some. There's a lot of earbuds talk. I went on like a earbuds talk for a while.
Cello, you managed to morph random into an audiophile chat room at least once a month now. I've been keeping loose track.
I didn't start it. I just provide some wisdom. But I will say that Ray has brought a nice layer to the Slack, and
Definitely.
we need to get Wayne and Ray their own show.
I would agree. I hope you guys heard that. I hope
It's
you're
in the
listening.
making.
So we really got off that topic. What I wanted to say is let people know what good comes of a Bitcoin ETF. We've gone over it before years ago, but what it basically means is that banks and investment banks and all these like traditional incumbent financial entities can now legally buy swaths of Bitcoin. And that's a good thing because then it turns like for instance, my mother and father are about to retire and their retirement fund has been buying ETFs and mutual funds and things like that for years over years. And if that allows funds like theirs to buy Bitcoin, and you know how many people have retirement funds, I'll give you a hint. It's a lot. And
Old people.
yeah. Well, no, I'm not old, Corey.
Yeah, you are.
But I have a fund.
We're
But
crypto. Everyone's got a fund.
that's very true. Who put this picture of Satoshi in the Slack? But that's what that means, and it's a good thing because it adds some stability. It adds some buy-side stability to the value of Bitcoin, which is a good thing. So that's why the Bitcoin ETF and Ethereum ETF these are all such big deals long term. I'm talking 5, 10, 15, 20 year long term because it adds a huge buy side stability to Bitcoin. So but that's it, guys. If you guys have any more talking points, I'd love to talk. I don't really have any more talking points.
All right. Charlie, you got some?
I think we've covered everything.
Everything? We're done? We can cut the show? Forever?
We gotta plug our shit.
No, I got
Just for this
something.
week.
So I don't think we've talked about this much lately. Me and Colin talked about this quite a bit on Hashing It Out. One blockchain to rule them all, or a bunch of different blockchains?
one to anchor them all, but a bunch of different blockchains?
I want to say one because I was working at Permission.io, which is a garbage ass company. My clause is up, so I can say they were saying, "Oh, we're going to build on the Stellar Lumens blockchain. Oh, now we're gonna go on that there." So if you're a company and you don't know what you're doing, it just adds more confusion to what you don't know what you're doing.
Hashtag yours.org.
Did that happen with them too?
Shots fired.
Yeah, dude. They've been pivoting to different things since the beginning.
Yeah, so I don't think pivoting is good for your reputation, for morale, for your business plan. So let's just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say, Corey, one major blockchain that things are anchored to or pegged to, and then lots of chains doing lots of things that are anchored to it.
I agree.
What was your conclusion with Colin?
Oh, we don't come to conclusions, Colin. It's just it's just an ongoing debate. But I tend to think the same thing. He tends to think the same thing. You have one main blockchain and a bunch of things that are anchored into it, whether it be trust or value.
I drew a picture. Go ahead, Joe.
I revitalized Colin. Colin was like about to call it quits, and then I sent him to the Stanford conference,
Pace, man.
And he was like, "I'm back in. Let's record 9 episodes in a row."
Yeah, crypto has its way of doing that.
You gotta see people, man. That's what it is. You have to go out and you have to see people.
That's
join our Slack. Go to your local meetup, wherever that is, and meet people and talk to them, and either be smarter than them or learn from them. But you're talking to people, and that's like, if you do everything on the internet, read a bunch of shit, never talk to anybody, you're gonna get burnt out.
You're gonna get weird too.
Yeah, you're gonna get real weird.
let's put that out there.
Yeah, you're gonna get real weird.
Get
so
weird.
Like, do a meetup and tell us about it, and we'll try and help you do the meetup.
Yeah. Are we gonna do our churrasco?
Maybe. I'm going to Brazil.
It's not a little bit of planning. It's a lot of bit of planning. We're gonna have to.
If we have a bull run, if there's a decent bull run in some way, shape, or form that skyrockets our evaluation because all we hold is crypto as a podcast, then yeah, we'll do a community churrasco where we just basically set a date in a place and anyone can come and join, and we'll provide all the things.
Yeah, I think it'll be like, I want it to be a bit of the pieces of who we three are. Like, of course, the churrasco, Corey, that's you because of Brazil, and then maybe like a Smash Brothers tournament. And then at the same time, Cello will have like a vinyl player set up so you could bring some vinyls and play some tunes. That's obviously racist. Like, huh?
Yeah, I got my portable vinyl set up. I'll do that.
Corey has a record player.
Everyone has a record player who listens to vinyl.
Fucking, you guys just
that's part of listening to vinyl.
Down all my ideas.
No, it's a great idea. It's gonna be really extremely hard.
It would be really hard to plan, but I think it'll be really cool. It'd be uniquely us.
I like it.
All of our listeners on the East Coast could come to it. We could have a great time. There'd be alcohol because we like that too.
Yeah, fuck you, West Coast.
Yeah.
If you're West Coast, you gotta fly to us. If you're Texas, you gotta fly to us. But
TBP Fest 2019.
It's just a big churrasco. Cooking meats.
Dude, let's get a shitload of Instagram models to like pump this up.
We don't need Instagram models though. Let's just get regular women.
What about
do it the same way as the Fire Festival?
No, they're models too. We just don't get the good models.
Yeah,
that's regular women.
And we don't get Ja Rule. We get Jay Quan. Remember him? We'll get him.
Nah, I think we should get who played the thong song? Cisco.
Cisco's a big deal.
Cisco for TBP Fest 2020.
Maybe I could just do a Ja Rule voice and trick people into thinking that he's
Ja Rule, baby.
He's like, hey, y'all need to come to the Bitcoin podcast, churrasco. Yeah, baby.
You know, for those that, there's only like maybe 4 people who listen to this podcast that have been listening since the beginning, but within the first, I think, 50 podcasts, we had a regular segment, and that was doing black guys talking about crypto or Bitcoin at that time. Yeah,
it was black guys that were black popular black guys enthusiastic about Bitcoin. That's what
Yeah,
I
so it's
did.
like Wesley Snipes, tell us about Bitcoin, and you would do it.
Yeah, but off
Or
the top
Cleveland.
of my head, I can't
He
remember.
did a Denzel. He did.
Cleveland.
Oh, Peter. Bitcoin's my favorite crypto. Like, I could still kind of fall back into it. It's just been a while.
So Ja Rule, I feel like is a good day today.
Wait, maybe I could do Wesley Snipes. Some motherfuckers are always trying to buy Bitcoin Cash.
That could be like 10.
Yeah, it could be
10
like
different ones.
it's like Joe Black Guy.
Yeah.
No, everybody knows Wesley Snipes sounds just like that.
But
Anyway.
I wasn't joking, Corey. Like when you're like Van Damme is from Brussels. So
I know.
you have to-
He's a muscle for Brussels.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, what? I missed this conversation.
Well, I asked him if he watched Time Cop or Bloodsport, something to honor him while he was in Brussels, and he missed a golden opportunity.
I did it the first time I went when I paid homage to Van Damme. The second time was just a business trip.
Corey,
Okay,
could you be
I'll
Van
accept
Damme for Halloween?
I don't know
this
if
year?
I can't do that voice. I don't know. I'm not that ripped. I can't do that. I can't like jump up and do the splits on random chairs. If I could do that, then I would do it every year.
Yeah, I
Can
just
you
do it
do-
all the time.
One thing for me: get rock candy, and then get syrup, and then put some athletic tape on your hands and dip your knuckles in syrup, and then dip it in rock candy,
Okay.
and be
Like some,
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
some rags and just rock.
Yeah, from Kickboxer. Okay, I think it's about that means that we need to wrap the show up, I think, because when we start talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's about that time. Go to the bitcoinpodcast.com. You'll see all the things we do. We do lots of things. You could also go to medium.com/the Bitcoin Podcast blog and see some a weekly newsletter that goes out by JT. Shout out to JT. And Corey and Colin also has some thought pieces on there. I just made that up because I don't know how you could write something and not think about it, but whatever. Cello's daughters also are going to be submitting blogs to the.
There'll be a series of random noises in the background of whatever you're doing.
Sorry about that. Life is still real.
Life
It
comes
doesn't
at you
get
fast.
unreal.
There we got ultra professional a little bit last year, but we're still living.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the cool thing about this podcast is you can join our Slack and then you can join the podcast. And how many podcasts can say that about their community? So join the Slack and then you can join us when we record.
Yeah, you don't like what we have
Yeah.
to say? Come on our show and tell us. That's that
Yeah,
simple.
That would be fun.
That would be really fun. I would love it if a hater like called in to hate.
Yep. And went through all the steps. Like join the Slack just so he could come and say, I hate you guys.
I
Well,
would.
we've had that. That
I'd be
was
so
ballsy.
happy if that was the case.
Yeah.
We've had one of those before.
So
Except Ballsack joined at the wrong time. Or else he would have probably popped in every now and then and said something off the wall.
Yep. So, yeah, please join the Slack. We really want to grow the Slack because it is very entertaining and helpful for us to guide our content, to have awesome folks in there every single week, every single day, contributing to so many different conversations that, are all pretty, I don't know,
Relevant.
pretty plentiful, pretty
Let's
relevant.
set that KPI. Let's get 1,000 people in our Slack by the end of the year.
We already have that KPI. Or you
Oh.
want to give it to the public?
Yeah.
Okay. We want 1,200 people in the Slack by January of 2020. There's currently 611, so that would be a 2xer for those of you that don't know math very well. Can we do it? Corey, you think we can do it?
No.
Shit, dude, you are a negative person right now. How are you gonna say no to that? We're supposed to say yes to that.
I'm trying to make people prove me wrong.
Oh, okay. Cello, you think we can do it?
Yeah.
I think we've already
believe.
done it. It just
Remember,
hasn't-
Corey was wrong about automated trucks. He's a moron.
Yeah, Corey, you don't know shit. Okay, you don't know shit about automation or Slack groups. So, all right, guys, that's it, man. Shout out to Carla Lewis. Shout out to Taylor Rooks and Zoe Saldana. Play.
Damn, Zazie Beats.
Oh yeah, Zazie fell. Play.